Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to our continuing, though almost over, reviews of Ahsoka. Of course, we're diving into episode 7, the penultimate episode, folks, and that is Dreams and Madness. And of course, joining me as always, the man, the myth, the legend from SmirkingRobPlays over on Twitch and various YouTube channels, Rob Stone.
Now desperately trying to do a wardrobe situation in the middle of an introduction and having a hard time with it.
It's the professionalism that people come for.
Yeah, should have got it together earlier. I'm just kind of tired with the baseball cap backwards. Trying it forward, but it doesn't work great when it's dark and shadows and stuff. So yeah, penultimate episode. Can't wait to talk about it. Rest in peace, Dumbledore. Got my Dumbledore wand here today.
Yeah,
Michael Gambit, 82 years old, man.
That's a pretty good Dumbledore stretch right there.
Yeah.
So
let's rock it.
Yeah, and real quick before we start, of course, we are supporting our Hollywood unions here, of course, and for at least one of them, looks like the strike may be over. The WGA does have a tentative deal. I believe it still has to finish getting written and then voted on and stuff like that, but they have at least stopped picketing for just WGA jobs and such. SAG-AFTRA still don't have a deal with. Writers are not crossing picket lines there, which is great. Overall, it looks like it was about 10 days of actual negotiations to get this all settled out. Despite it being over a month's period of time. So fingers crossed they go to the table. We already got kind of a framework with the writers. The actors can get their stuff and everybody can get back to work and stuff can start being made. So yeah, let's dive into things. I gotta say, I was kind of excited going into this episode. I thought it did a lot of the things it needed to do. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as last week's episode, which I thought really flowed very well and everything kind of natural. There's a couple of odd decisions, a couple little points here that I think just hiccuped it and dropped it a little bit back, but maybe nitpicking. You know how much I like to do that. Rob, what did you think about this week's episode?
It carried over very well into from last week's episode, where you can just tell that it's building momentum, but it's also surprising us still. Or at least it was surprising me still in some parts, that especially with Balin.
Yeah.
Now not really knowing what they're planning on doing with this character, especially since he only has one more to go, and then it's done for the actor. So we'll see. And but overall, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things here, like a kind of a character one in one part. And just kind of the editing or scene placement a little bit.
Sure.
A little bit of that. Like I have a couple, like a question or two, see if anybody else understands what I'm talking about. But otherwise, I mean, this was a blast. Right and on. There, even in the parts where I'm talking about maybe that need to be moved around or maybe don't even really need to exist, is I'm sorry. I'm done.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I've only got a couple of, I think maybe 3 little points where I was kind of or kind of pulled out or otherwise not flowing totally with the episode. And I gotta say, the first one is straight away, and I'm kind of really glad it's great, though, at kicking off the episode. Maybe that's what sort of threw me off. And that is our trip back to Coruscant. Which, look, I have complained about this little side story since the beginning of the series. And with this opening bit, I think it encapsulates everything that makes it angry for me, because I don't see any point to any of it. It's a know-nothing story that goes nowhere except giving us a chance to drop a Mandalorian line and a Princess Leia reference. This whole debate about the council being upset with Hera, it feels so wrong. It's a military matter. There should be military chain of command. Even the fact they actually wrap up this whole section with saying, "Oh, this should be under the defense council of which Leia is the head of." I'm like, so why is any of this even happening outside of maybe portraying that Ziono is a Thrawn, plant, though he is in later manifestations of Star Wars, and he's always New Republic, so that doesn't make any sense. I felt like this has gone nowhere and is a complete waste of time, and its very existence angers me. So I'm really curious about you, Rob, before you get this. And I have one more question, because there should be military, not council. The person in charge is, where's Admiral Akbar? Where is Admiral Akbar? Is he supposed to be the head of New Republic military? All right, I don't know. I'm ranting enough. Rob, what?
No,
save me on the council, man.
No, you've got like, thing is like, on its own, I like the scene just fine. What I was thinking about when I was watching it, because I only watched it once, and I watched it literally like right before, like 10 minutes before we started, is when I finished.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like I was watching what a Star Wars TV show would look like, a decent Star Wars TV show. I was thinking,
sure,
I could live with this. I was thinking about that, like if this was like something that, because one of the things I thought about, if you're talking about rants, I mean, it just made me think, like, we should all be happy that we've lived this long to get to where we are with Star Wars. I mean, as far as new fans, younger fans, people that weren't born and all that stuff, they're getting a whole big, they've got all of it at their fingertips right now. So they've all had this instant gratification for years. But for those of us who've waited and seen everything evolve like this, and to be able to see, like, this is where we are now in 2023, that we could have like Star Wars TV shows, real ones, if they really try harder to do the episodic things that we're talking about. Even if not everything is your cup of tea, isn't it still nice that we've made it this far and that you can still just kind of not take it so seriously, stop holding on so tightly that you just have sucked all your joy from this thing that you supposedly like? And when you see episodes like this, despite why this scene exists, it does show like where we've got, how far we've come, and what we can do. And so there's that. But why? You know what I mean? Like, why is this here? I kept going, maybe it's just placed wrong, because this would have fit in last episode. I mean, it's not, again, we're talking about, they can end these episodes whenever they want, right?
Right.
They're cutting it up whenever they want. So literally, this scene was just the next part of the movie. So that's why it's here. And that's kind of stupid, because this would have fit, like, even at the end of this, it would have fit a little bit, giving it a little more like, oh, this is her telling them he's coming and they need to start, this is the last chance to start believing it.
Yeah.
And yes, this guy who apparently runs the whole meeting from his little, he's the only one who gets to talk, and everything he says is apparently just fine. And everybody agrees with him, and I'm like, it's a little too close to reality in some ways, but at the same time, all he is the Roland Emmerich vice president or secretary of state or whoever doesn't believe in whatever tragedy is about to go down.
Sure.
The guy's like, aliens aren't coming. 2012 doesn't mean anything. There's not going to be earthquakes and tsunamis that are about to wipe out and chill the entire, North American planet. Yeah, he's that guy. And for some reason, Filoni has written a lot of those guys over the years on Clone Wars and stuff.
Sure.
So he's just in here, and it's just unfortunate byproduct of the Filoni way of doing things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
so
that's
it's
kind of
just like, to see it in live action.
Well, it's just, I mean, I guess what gets me is, I mean, we've talked about how much time and effort is put into this and production and everything and expense and so on. So putting in a bunch of scenes that don't really go anywhere, really move the story forward in any meaningful way, I think is what upsets me, is just because it feels like a waste of time. Like there's a quicker way you could have covered this stuff and thus dedicated more time to the main story, or making this just more interesting outside of a parable of current Senate conditions in our world or something like that, or you know, congressional hearings and things like that, which you know, just seems like an unnecessary, if that's the point, that seems like an unnecessary waste of time to hit that when that could be done a little bit more efficiently. So I mean, ultimately, yeah, again, it's just the fact that this hasn't really developed or gone anywhere outside of just scenes of infighting. I'm just like, you know, couldn't this time have been more efficiently, more effectively used in expanding the story elsewhere? You know, and I think that's really what gets me more than anything, outside the fact that it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if they had spent more time with it, yes, the story should have been something. You know, again, it's just that sticking to these structures that they have of like, well, we have this much movie to give you, so how many episodes can you get out of it?
Yeah. Well, and if you wanted to show
like 10's too far, so it's like, but not really.
Yeah, I mean, if like you wanted to show like a government infighting, a new republic that's spread too thin and has too many directions and voices to have anything focused, I think that there's a better way that could have been done outside of just some senators upset that Hera took her own ship and went and looked at a star system and left it. Again, we don't need to dwell really that much more on it.
Well, yeah, but also like this is like looked like a city count, like a really weak city council meeting.
Oh yeah.
Like these are big deal people here. They wouldn't be sitting in a room with just like it looked, you know, like the equivalent of like the dregs of Coruscant sitting up there about to complain about somebody, you know, some creature infestation in their basement or something like that. You know, this is, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
the
it
more you
didn't
say
have the
it, the more I
majesty you would
understand
have
where you're
expected for something like this, or the intimacy that otherwise would have been if it was just, you know, like a partial council or military tribunal, or, you know, the heads of the joint chiefs or whatever that may look like here.
And but still, I want to remember that the first things I was saying were nice things about this scene, and that it did make me think a little bit of like what could be possible. And I did like seeing 3PO, and I did like Chopper kind of reacting to what the guy was saying. I did like this scene if it was in a show about these people.
Sure.
But it's not, and since it's not, and it doesn't really belong here, it's just like it's just kind of unfortunate.
It's a very Jedi viewpoint that you are putting out there, and you are quite right. I am, of course, old school and had to wait the 16 years between episodes 4 and episode 6 and episodes 1, and you kids don't know what that like. We only had the books, darn it. I gotta just. Yeah. Hey, want to be sure to say hi to
that's a myth too. People need to stop complaining about that drought of there was no Star Wars since Jedi, and it's like, dude, we've always had Star Wars in some form or another. If you chose not to like take part in it, if you chose not to take part in it, that's your fault.
Hey, Rob's coming with the knowledge, coming with the wisdom tonight. I want to say hi to Silva Surfa and the Rich Room joining us live in the chat. Rich also thought this was an okay to good penultimate episode, though Silva definitely agrees with you on the editing. So let's get on to our kind of mainer story here, and that is our well, I guess we get a little aside before the Purgle arrives. We get a little scene with Ahsoka training with videos of Anakin. And this is another one that kind of threw me off a little bit. It's like it's so cool in some ways, and also like, have you just had these? Are you just now breaking them out? Is it now with that newborn kind of feel you're re-looking at stuff like that? And as this and look, I'm very happy for Hayden Christensen, but now it's like, man, Hayden's going to be all over Star Wars at this point. He's going to be recording all over the place. He's going to be forced ghosting. I wish they hadn't waited like 20 years for that. So, but you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Exactly. So yeah, again, I thought this was a cool enough scene, and I kind of liked the idea, but I was also just like, have you just had these? Have you not? But I thought that you were okay with him, and it's just, again, it's just another one of those kind of weird things where it's like she's kind of this new person and re-embracing this stuff. I don't know. I felt it kind of came out of nowhere, but I guess this is her feeling better after her sort of rebirth from the world between worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a little less to infer about Ahsoka than there is about Sabine in this show, but because we got to see her entire interactions with Anakin from beginning to end.
Sure.
And so seeing him again now, having this kind of probably after her, finding out that it was him and everything, and maybe before that, just this kind of hurt that could have carried with her. I can at least understand that coming from her. And this being this, I need to remember my old lessons. I need to remember the way that Master used to make me feel when we were just doing this on our own.
Right.
I think that's all fine. I love her interaction with Huyang here too. Again, just a great voice performance by David Tennant and great, animatronics with this puppet. By the way, let's talk. I mean, there's practicality here, and it's not just CGI, right? I mean,
Huyang is flawless in performance and voice work and everything. I completely agree with that.
When we can have as much, and this should go without saying, the more practical effects in these things, the better. I myself, like I've said, I used to have a problem with things looking cheesy. But the thing is who cares if you're enjoying yourself? Again, it always goes back to that now. You just gotta accept it. Who cares? It's fun. And so not everything has to look great, but when they've been relying so much on CGI, surroundings and backgrounds and worlds, we need the practicality in the scenes with things like this. And so it's really, really cool. This continues to be a really fun droid to watch. And yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to see Anakin again. And it really does it makes the hurt of the prequels go away a little bit. The more I see him and the more I see what they can do with him and what was possible, what's still possible, and again, I'm being really oddly positive tonight. So everybody, take a picture or something. But
well, no, it's good because you're right. We need to kind of keep things in perspective. I mean, and I always think of the opening scenes from Episode 4. In the Rebel blockade runner, and all the hallways, all the pipes are just like PVC pipes and ends stuck out there, barely painted. I mean, you look at it now, it's like, oh yeah, man, they threw this together with $40 in parts that they were able to just mix and match and shove up on the wall. So yeah, can't be too complaining about some cheesy looks, but the practicality and this is where Andor did so much well for me is that, and I think Rogue One, that's one of the reasons why that had such a great grounded feel, is the practicality of the sets and locations and things like that. Yeah, again, it makes it feel more real.
Is that the guy that's doing the creator? that did Rogue One?
Yes.
Okay, just clarifying.
Which I believe is out today in theaters. Yeah. Well, and I mean, and we definitely see the change in Ahsoka. She's much more jokey and lighthearted with Huyang here in the back and forth with the star charts and everything. And then later on when she meets up and the big reunion happens. And I got to say, I did appreciate Huyang talking like, all our star charts are useless. Wherever we come out, it's like we have no idea where we're going to go or how to find anything. Conveniently, it all happens right where you land, and that's the way that it's supposed to be. And I think by saying that that's the planet of the ancient planet of the Dathmiri, that makes a lot more sense. But I did appreciate at least we ain't going like, we're really walking in blind here, right? She's like, yeah, it'll be great. So appreciate the lightheartedness on her end. But yeah, they do come out in a minefield, and I do appreciate how this was done, in the sense that them being inside the Purgle and just feeling the explosions outside and all of that. I mean, for an introduction, I thought that was great. It's quite a large minefield to have just set up. I'm assuming that there's probably automatic ways that is done, and I don't know. I guess last episode he said, shoot down any whale that approaches the planet. Didn't say lay out the mine. So it was a little bit of a surprise. I don't know. It was like half cool and also like, this seems overly elaborate considering you're about to leave and probably have to pick all these back up with you in case you ever plan on coming back here at some point. But we do get a good aerial chase and down into the debris field of dead whale bones. But what did you think of our Ahsoka's introduction to Peridea?
Well, it was last week that I said that there was going to be like, this could have potentially be a whale graveyard in space. Last week I was like, yeah, they're just going to get slaughtered up there, not even going to make it to where they need to go. Didn't know that they could just pop that, light speed whenever they feel like it, apparently.
That was great. Like, well, this sucks. We're out of here. Yep, bye, guys.
Because I was waiting to see some Purgles get blasted, but they, that's pretty much what I predicted last week, except just not with minefields. I thought that was clever. See, the thing is like as elaborate as it was, clever for me won out. Like, that's smart.
Sure.
So I was just like, whatever. Like, I don't know how how they'd be out there in such great whatever. Like, it was just like a cool way to be introduced. Like, we knew there was going to be some sort of danger. We expected it to just be like a blockade. We expected it to be some fighters flying around going, oh, we got to like fight some fighters. No, mines. That was something I didn't see coming. I should have expected it, and I liked that, even if it was really.
It is very Thrawn to have done that kind of unexpected bit.
Yeah. And yeah, so like it keeps with character for sure, with strategy and stuff.
Right on. Yeah, so we get so that gives us some nice kind of aerial action and such like that, which was pretty fun. I did like, the giant rings of just dead whale bodies that's ringing around this planet. Just cool and creepy at the same time. And to be honest, I kind of like that mix if they're going to lean into that a little bit more. So, but yeah, also it's just going to be, either you're never coming back here or you're going to have to pick up all those mines when you leave. I don't know what his plan is on that. So we do get a little bit of Thrawn after this, with the great line of him realizing that her master was General Anakin Skywalker. Okay, well, that's going to really adjust everything. And I love how that like instantly set his mind like, this is who we can expect. And that's the great thing about Thrawn, is he very much is a studied strategist. He really weighs in all of those personal things that come into one's actions or one's motivations in order to figure out how to best deal with them. And also the Jedi are very good at hiding. They've been doing it for years. But which was very cool. So yeah, I like these little moments where we can look at Thrawn, because, you know, and the one thing with everybody else running around, Thrawn in this definitely shows that he's got his eye on the prize. He's only using what resources he needs in order to get this issue away from him while he focuses on his main goal, loading up and getting ready to get out of here. And I really appreciate that, since we so often have people like, send everyone, you know, we're doing.
Yeah. He was kind of the perfect character to be stranded somewhere unfamiliar because of the way he thinks. If it was a lesser guy, right, they'd have just found a floating, like, empty Imperial starship where they'd have seen definite signs of a mutiny where everybody just slaughtered each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So this guy also not only, you know, was able to survive, but like everything had to be figured out on a daily basis. How to like keep going. How do I keep everybody in line? How do I keep them motivated? How do I keep us fed? Where do we go? Well, he doesn't know anything as much as anybody else. So he's learned how to be, you know, like even more patient. It's a good thing he is who he is. And maybe it's a little plot convenient, but that's fine. We want to see like this guy who's just like, you're expecting to see like this disheveled, like in a lot of other things, you see the guy who's like, you know, got to be woken up to be like effective and be like, you know, maybe stumble out the gate. But no, it just shows that this guy is the same guy who left. And he's going to have like an idea that you might not see coming, which is like bringing magic into all this, which is great.
Yeah, well, you know, he is not one to limit his resources. If he sees something available, he is going to use it to the best of its ability, which I think is great. And he is not beyond making deals. And I love the fact that we've got the Night Sisters involved. By the way, did need to throw out there, did not realize this until I had to read it up, because she's barely recognizable underneath all that makeup. But one of our great mothers is none other than sci-fi favorite Claudia Black from Farscape and SG-1. She was in Pitch Black. Tons of stuff over the years, a lot of big sci-fi stuff. But yeah, she is playing one of the great mothers underneath all of that makeup. So just excited. We got Amos over here playing Enoch. We got Claudia Black playing one of the great mothers. I love these people coming further into the Star Wars universe, and I'm curious what other roles they will get out once they've gotten their fingers into the Disney pie here.
No, that's cool. I forgot. Like, it's usually me that pulls the deep IMDb like stuff out. So good on you, man.
Yeah, no. I was really excited about that. Big fan of Claudia Black, so I'm excited that she's doing some more stuff here. So we've got our big plan to flush out Ahsoka, which I do really appreciate. Is how was it the Thrawn put it? Just like just set it up so that whatever choice that she makes, we're still going to be ahead of her. And she does it in kind of a perfect way. Isolate where he is. She's going to reach out. It's got the Night Mothers that can touch in with the Force, and then they can focus in on her. And again, it's all about just keeping her away. It's not about having to destroy her or anything like that. But we do get Sabine back with Ezra. A little bit more back and forth. So much love Ezra. They've got him down perfect. The mannerisms, the look, everything. I think the actor's bringing it here. So I'm really excited with Ezra. I love the little back and forth when she's catching up. He's like, so the Emperor's dead? Well, that's what they say, which is a perfect response because, of course, the Emperor will be reborn years and years later.
No, he didn't. It didn't happen.
What is this crazy thing you talk about?
Yeah, see, now you're just making fan fiction up, because I know that like the last thing I saw was like, you know, Luke fading away.
Sure.
And that's the last thing I remember.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying
of like you know, the rest of them, they went to a great, you know, happy ending after that. Because Leia was alive,
That's
and
right.
Rey was alive,
You know,
you
it
know,
was,
and they were going to go honor Luke in some way, and that was like the end of the story. And it's like great that that's how it ended.
and it was a beautiful ending. It was a
Yeah,
beautiful ending right there because he's
yeah. I
sitting
don't know
with
why
Yoda
people hate the
afterwards.
Last Jedi. I mean, it was the last movie. Why wouldn't it be called the Last Jedi?
Um,
Sorry, I can't help myself.
no, it's beautiful. Quiet, Rich, quiet. Um, so this is again one of those other little things that's annoying. It doesn't bother me so much, but it is just one of those annoying little story tropes that used is Sabine playing the let's drag out saying anything for as long as possible. I know she doesn't really want to, it's going to be sad information. She wants to enjoy this moment, but it's like, okay, so you've given the whole history and everything, and just yeah, we're just gonna hold off for stuff as long as we can until the plot really needs me to say something.
Exactly. It's what I was gonna bring up. It was one of my only things. Was like, it's a big sin to me in
Yeah.
cinema when your plot, and I bring it up every time because it needs to be pointed out every time that a character does not behave like themselves to fit the plot. And she hasn't seen this guy in years. She has no one to talk to about all her Jedi stuff, and yet she's suddenly going to clam up like, oh, no, 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 no. That happens when there's no distance and you have a lot of time to build secrets up that you don't share
Yeah.
with people.
And the
Not
clock is ticking right now.
okay, and it's dumb. Take the time, flesh your character's story out, make us understand. Hell, put that part in here. Make it an hour-long episode where you show the whole Sabine, you know, thing.
You
Sabine
didn't
and
have to
Ahsoka
waste time
thing.
with a council meeting, you know.
Yep. Could have
Could have
cut
done.
that out, you know. So, you know, like it just doesn't, it's frustrating to see them like just go, just talk, just speak. All right. We all like stop. You don't have to follow the how to write a screenplay playbook for every scene. Right? Surprise us. Go against the grain. There's a reason that I'm not gonna. I don't want to diss writers right now,
No,
but
but this is one of those sad tropes that I mean, and they do it all the time. Look, half of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was exactly this.
yeah,
So many problems could have been solved if they took like 3 minutes to just explain the situation, but they couldn't.
yeah.
So yeah, it's always annoying when they do that. Um, let's get to my other. This is really my third kind of big question here because I like twists, but this seemed to come out of really nowhere and almost contradict kind of what we set up before. Is why does Balin leave? I mean, I get that he's on his own mission, but he was like just saying, like, Shin, I trained you to be something different, something better, and we're doing this thing and we're going after and we're only using this for a moment. And then it's like, not only is it, well, you're oh, what's the word that he used? Your ambition is leading you in a different direction. So go off and join the Empire and do the thing. Which I would also be fine with if he then left to do his thing, but he doesn't. He stays there and kind of watches everything unfold. So this is the only thing, because you're right. We have one more episode with Ray Stevens, and I really want him to go somewhere. But just this choice to suddenly be like, well, I'm not going to finish this part of the mission. I'm going to leave that to you because I got a thing to do, but I'm not going to go do that thing. I'm going to just sit here and watch you guys do your thing. This is just again because I like the character so much. They didn't imply that he was about to leave Shin at any point. They seemed to be connected, and he was part of her, and that was master and apprentice. And him just turning and being like, "Well, good luck." All of a sudden, just seemed really out of the blue for me, even though I know that he's searching for something else. But what were your thoughts? What did you feel about this kind of Balin sending Shin off to fight and kill everybody on her own while he, Diddy mounted out?
Well, it kind of okay. It doesn't damage the performance, but it damages the character because it just feels like in a comic book or a video game where you got to fight all the side bosses to get boss, and he's just tossing you one of the side bosses at you, like maybe the boss before the boss, like no, except dramatically you think you're gonna fight the boss, but you have to fight his apprentice first,
right?
Like it's just kind of, but it's him kind of unfairly saying you take care of both of them, knowing it's gonna probably be really hard, like. And I honestly didn't feel the confidence oozing off of him in her.
No, it felt kind of dismissive, really.
Yeah, kind of like, yeah, okay, by the way, we're done. It's like suddenly ghosting somebody or breaking up with somebody out of nowhere with like all signs pointing that you're fine. This relationship is completely simpatico and you're thinking of the same stuff. And maybe not 100%, but like, yeah, it is out of the blue. And if I was her, I mean, if she's not a Jedi, she can ask questions. I mean, she shouldn't be like, I would say something to him.
I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? It's you and me together. Let's take care of this, and then we can go do your thing. I mean, yeah, was no.
What is he a Highlander or something? Is he out to go find, Gavin McLeod or whatever his name is? Like,
I think it's Connor McLeod or
Connor. Yeah. Gavin McLeod. Wait, that's like McLeod. That's like from the 70s cop shows. I think.
I was gonna say. I think that was God. Actually.
I just busted out a 70s cop show reference on accident. Yeah,
sorry.
I'll stand by it. I'll stand
Detective Jacob. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
But yeah, I mean, it was out of nowhere. And now I'm just like, well, what? Well, what is this? Like, could it be as simple as he's just going out there to literally just die or meet some guardian or it's? I mean, at least it's got us talking, but it's a little too out of nowhere. And I think that they'll probably just say, well, we've given you little breadcrumbs throughout. This is just one big moment, or it's like, oh, it's happening now, whatever this is. But it's done a little too offhanded, like, yeah, okay, by the way, shoo, old yeller.
Yeah, I think that's probably my biggest criticism of the show is it feels like moments like this make it feel like there are scenes that happen that I didn't see.
Yep.
That there's just some part of the story that's been left out, and I'm good with creators allowing the audience to put things together. You don't want to treat your audience as stupid. You don't need to spoon feed us everything. We can connect dots and things like that, and I like it when they assume that we can. This feels sometimes like a little over reliance, either that or like, oh, you'll figure out how they all connect, or I know this may not make sense, but it'll pay off later on. And that's not always a way to do that. I mean, that does work sometimes. Want to be sure to say hi to Eric Scott joining us. Just got out of work. Thanks, Eric, for jumping in the chat with us. Bill Casey.
Oh man, also. Did you miss everything? I'm telling you.
Yeah,
you're just gonna have to watch it from the beginning, and give another like and subscribe because they let you do that now.
Oh yeah. Shouldn't I be saying like and subscribe, everyone? Hit the notifications button. Leave comments. Put us up in the algorithm. I mean, if you feel like it. It's nice, We don't want to put you out or anything.
Yeah, but hey, everybody in the chat, by the way.
So yeah, I mean, again, I love the character. I love the actor. I love Ray Stevens doing it. It is so unfortunate we're only going to get one more episode for him. But I think you're right. It doesn't. Things like this don't undercut his performance in any way, but it does undercut the character a bit because it doesn't make sense. Let's see. Okay. I did like the, as I'm criticizing it, I did love the line that he leaves her with. Impatience for victory will guarantee defeat.
I mean, it's almost like he's telling her, get ready to die.
Yeah. Take your time.
Because he's gonna, or it's the wink to the audience that this is what's gonna happen to her. Because they always say the thing that is not supposed to happen, which is exactly what's gonna happen. Yeah. Maybe not.
Yeah. But... All right, so we get our big attack on our naughty convoy. Naughty. Calling them naughty just feels wrong. And I guess this is one of those where I thought, but after my second viewing, I was kind of like, oh, I think I'm putting information in here that I know that Ezra and company may not know. It's because the whole time I was first watching it, I'm like, Ezra, shouldn't you be like leading these guys away from your tribe since they're after you? But then I had to think, like, does he know that they're after just him? Because these Baylan and Shin did show up with these other barbarian raiders that also speak the same language as his little buddies. So maybe they're just used to, they occasionally get attacked by these roaming bandits. And I'm putting my own mind and going, they're after you, when he may just be think like, oh yeah, man, this happens once in a while. We get bandits that attack us and we just got to run away from them or something like that. But that was the one thing that I was thinking as I was watching this. I'm like, why are you using all your friends for cover? Shouldn't you just kind of like be the hero and lead them away? But again, I think I'm maybe thinking, putting my own information in that the characters actually don't have.
And it's also the fact that we deep down don't want to see them get killed. We like a little bit, like when the first time an Ewok died, it was like a party really died.
Oh God, I still know that moment, man. That's still
when you're a little kid and you saw that happen. Is like one of the worst things you'd ever seen. Like it made you like want to cry. So you see these little creatures in these movies. I don't care how old you are. Like maybe realistically, one or two of them should get blasted to smithereens, but I'd still be like, no.
Yeah.
And like they're just so cute and nice, and they just want to they're like little pill bugs, but like crabs. I don't know, but it's just, yeah. I'm like, but at least they kind of move. They move pretty good.
They do, yeah.
I mean, being little weird pods, and I did like their whole formation and idea behind that and stuff. But yeah, it's probably just business as usual for the most part. But just all of a sudden, stormtroopers are a bit much added to the whole thing. Like they could have handled it if But it also gave us a chance to see the difference between the fighting styles. Like now having Ezra be more hand to hand. And maybe, yes, he should try things more than just force push, but it still looked pretty cool, and I liked him using it, and I just can't wait for him to actually pick up a lightsaber or something. Yeah. I miss the old lightsaber gun, man, so much.
Oh, that was very cool.
I don't care how ridiculous it is. I don't care. I just don't care, folks. Give me one right now.
That's the little kid nerd just going, yes.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate. Of course, that's what you would want.
Yes, the little kid who sits here holding Dumbledore's wand. Right? So, yeah, these are actually my nephews, and they're not mine. I wouldn't buy stuff like this because I'm not a little kid.
Of course not. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I did appreciate the Force is my ally. That's all that I need. And some Kung Fu is very helpful in the midst of this. But I do kind of like that. It reminded me of Rogue One actually a little bit, the same kind of idea, except Ezra actually can use the Force, which makes a little bit of a difference. But yeah, I thought that they were pretty much a fun fight. They gave a little bit of variance, a little bit of styles. I mean, I loved it when Ahsoka showed up, which was all very cool. And then you got the big separated fight against the stormtroopers, though it still seems like again, everyone's in the center and they're completely surrounded, and then they run off, and so they could just do the one-on-one battles, and everyone is safe. But that's Star Wars. I can't really complain about that. It was fun. I did like Thrawn's little statement on, it's like, oh, it's like watching almost like watching the Jedi of old. Just watch all those guys get mopped up. Was very cool. Though I gotta say, the Ahsoka Baylan fight here, while it was nice to have that little bit of a rematch, was again another one of those like, why is this happening? One, why is Baylan still here? Why is he trying to stop Ahsoka since he's pretty much given up on that thing to go and do his own thing? She doesn't need to really fight him because she's after Ezra and Sabine, which are doing another fight right now. So again, it's another one of those where it's like, it's cool to see, but I don't know why it's happening.
Well, I mean, you could say that because she saw him there and she didn't want to lead her ship right away to Ezra and Sabine, is like, might as well get off here and find out what, confront the guy who threw me off a cliff.
Sure.
At least as far as she's concerned. I mean, he's got it if he's by himself too. Plus, she is feeling like her old self, which is a little more like, I'm gonna go down there.
That is true. I mean, that is true.
She's Captain American out the outer ship, okay? Like, and again, anybody who thinks she can't do it, eat it. All right, this is the kind of thing that Ahsoka would do, and yeah, I like that it wasn't a 10-point landing. She did have to roll with it. I think that I can just forgive this as coolness. This is coolness for coolness' sake.
Yeah.
She went down there to fight the boss, but he's too tough for right now. He's got his own mission, and it was a way for these characters to kind of re-see each other again. Him seeing her differently,
Right.
I think it adds more to her character than his. But it does add something, so there's at least that. Mm-hmm. On top of just, again, close-up lightsaber faces.
Yeah. Gotta say, did love, again, jumping back to Ezra blocking Shin's lightsaber with the Force. That was, that's very Jedi. That's awesome. So, yeah, and they get all mopped up. I mean, stormtroopers are being stormtroopers, whether they got red tape on them or not. They're there to get mowed down. Again, did appreciate Thrawn's like, all right, we're losing this. Save everybody else that we can. We've effectively done what we need to, and we're keeping them away from us. And we're going to be leaving in 20 minutes. So I did really appreciate that. I did think it was kind of funny that Shin, though, just runs away. Just like, well,
it was about that time the old Duke boys got into General Lee and took off.
That is exactly it. And of course, there's no need to stop them. Our heroes have no vengeance or anything against Shin. Sabine might have something, but that's really kind of unnecessary. So yeah, letting her go is what it was. Just one of those like, all right, well, guess I'm done here. Just gonna go. Bye. So yeah, and our people are reunited, and they've got a ship. Oh, so happy. Now they just got to figure out how they're going to get home.
Well, those Purgle they teleported out, right? They still got to come back.
Yeah, man, who knows when the Purgle are coming back if
they were like,
right?
I was prepared to go down there and have a nice death. But since they were shooting me before I even landed, I was just like, we can't for right now. I just can't. Let's just go teleport. Like let's just go light speed to another galaxy for a little while. Come back. We can die then. So.
No, I think hitching a ride back with the Purgle seems kind of out. I would assume that they've got to get on the Chimera somehow. Of course, I'm thinking like the Han Solo. You're dock the ship on the back of the radar dish right there. So that would happen in Empire, and just go with them in through that. If they're attached to the ship, then they should be able to travel amongst the hyperspace ring.
Yeah, they've got to get on the ship.
They got to
be able to get back.
Stop them, though, right? I mean, they would be willing to strand themselves if they prevented Thrawn from getting back. So, think they're going to attack the hyperspace ring, or is it just going to be like, we just need to get home?
Well, I mean, one thing I guess we've never really talked about is I don't feel like this is the we're going to stop Thrawn show.
Oh, no. He definitely...
So, I mean, it's basically, how does he beat them? How does he get back despite our hero's efforts? That's the show. So I'm more interested in how they're going to be able to write their way to at least get the heroes back, and staying in the fight.
Yeah.
So that they're not too far off. I think it would suck if they end the show with them there, having to still figure out how to get back. I mean, I guess plot-wise, in some stories, it would be like, then they get back and they see the devastation that has occurred, and oh my God, if we could have just gotten here more, faster, because you need the guilt to pursue, to get the drama going further and further.
Sure.
So I don't.
Well, yeah, because I mean, my assumption always is that the show is basically going to end with Thrawn and the Chimera hyperspacing away from Cetos after the ring arrives. Maybe there's some Republic ships and they do a little fight, but it's basically like once he gets there, he's going to take off to go join up with the Remnant or whatever his other forces are, connections and stuff. And that's how this would end.
I think it should end where that corrupt senator, what's his name?
Xionos,
he just wakes up and the ring is like right in his face.
Thought this was just make-believe, huh, sucker? Yeah. They might, yeah. Well, because the other kind of, I don't know, wrinkle to consider is whatever this quest that Baylan is this something that's going to tie again forward? I know there was some speculation that he's after, unfortunately, I can't remember her name, but there's this giant force entity, which you find out, I think, later on in the Yuzhin Vong invasion storyline, was the reason that the Maw was made, was to contain this force creature that can drive people mad and all sorts of shit. I don't know. It's a big thing that can draw Jedi. So I know there's thought that might be it, but I don't see how that would help with any battle against Thrawn. And you're right. Does that have to come in? Is that laying ground for something later on? Or is this going to be does Thrawn get away? And you're right. Are they going to abandon people on this planet? But there's this other thing that Baylan found that may drive them for whatever the next season is going to be. I personally think it would just be easier if everybody just gets back to the galaxy. Thrawn goes his way. Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra join up with the New Republic, and that sets the stage for whatever the next season or story or whatever that's going to be done. But then I don't know why Baylan is out here. So, I mean, again, that's the only kind of like little hiccup in the background, is like everything else seems to connect very clearly. This Baylan bit to me is like this loose thread. Like, how is this going to play forward? And is the only thing that makes me think that they might end up getting stranded, because this would provide another way for them to return.
It just feels like a bridge between two things, with familiar characters in a reunion that needed to happen. Like it's what Rebels ended with, and it feels like it's still kind of like this. This is the thing to watch to understand like the next thing that's coming. And again, like you've talked about before, that being kind of unfair, how many things do you have to watch to keep up with some of this stuff? But I just, it's kind of hard to put into words, but I'm not gonna I don't like to do too many predictions anymore.
No, because we're always wrong.
Because we're always like, the simplest thing is always like whatever, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I think. It'll just end with them getting back, and they either have to hitch a ride in quietly or subvertly or whatever. I don't know how long the trip is with the, between galaxies.
I don't know if you can drop a ship out of light speed from something like that. Like, could it?
I don't think you can. You can't be like, all right, well, we're now in between galaxies at this point. We'll be home in 200 years, and that'll be great. Yeah, I mean, that's my only real kind of speculation. But yeah, I pretty much suspect next week is going to be the battle against Thrawn, and then trying to get back to our main Star Wars galaxy. In which case, they may leave Balin behind, and then he has his own little discovery, which will get morphed into something.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I could even see them just saying, well, if they don't have anything filmed, I could see them turning his story into a comic book for sure.
Oh yeah,
for sure. I almost guarantee there's going to be a comic book about this guy, if it's not already out. Because I don't really pay attention to Star Wars comics for some reason. I just never did. That's a really actually interesting thing. But, yeah.
That's where we had the original resurrected clone emperor.
Yes,
I believe in the comics there. Yes. All right. Oh, I did want to throw out. I had this in notes. Rob and I were talking beforehand, and I think that's where I forgot. Don Willie was supposed to join us this week. In case you're now an hour in, you're like, wasn't there supposed to be Don? Don was supposed to join us. He unfortunately got the flu. I think it's the great mothers have some curse against him. They're messing with his plumbing.
Yeah, they
week.
found him, man.
The flu this week. They just they don't want Don talking about Star Wars, and that's just not fair, because we love Don and I definitely miss him. But we will get him back on with another show next week. For the finale, we'll have Mark from Enchantment of Eternity joining us again. He was here at the beginning. He'll be here at the end. Really curious what he has thought. He's also been doing reviews on that, so you can check out Enchantment of Eternity and his reviews, as well as Alyssa Jean, who joined us a couple weeks ago, also doing her own reviews. So you can, if you want some supplementary material, you can check out both of those channels for more of that. But I think that pretty much covers everything. You got any final thoughts there, Rob, that you want to share with us, or anything that we missed before we get out of here?
No. I mean, I just I'm hoping for a nice, strong finale, question mark, whatever it is, wherever we're going. Thrawn being back in this universe and having the actor again, I can't understate how awesome that is. And again, just keep making Star Wars like this more and more, despite our little gripes. This was an awesome episode that had exciting moments. We didn't really talk about her getting caught by the witches with their magic, and getting chased through the debris field, and her. I mean, she was being chased from. As soon as she opened up the mouth, she's in minefields, and then she's getting chased all the way over the planet, and until she literally lands with a role to fight a false Jedi. I mean, there was a lot that happened in this episode, and time-wise, and still about 37 minutes, that was a lot that happened. And that's fine to make an episode that short when you can fill it with that much stuff. But also, if you could trim out things that don't belong and fill them with things that do, that'd be great too.
Yeah, I think that would.
And also, I'm on SmirkingRobPlays, messing around as a wood half-elf rogue. If you watch some of my stuff, you can see some pretty funny things. Just don't be surprised if I curse a lot and things don't go my way. But I am playing pretty much to the standards that I want to live up to in that game. So that's what I'm doing outside of this.
Perfect. Want to touch on Eric Scott, also make a comment. It's kind of funny that after the first 2 episodes, everyone was like, oh man, this show sucks. Then it turned into an amazing show that everyone is singing their praises. Yeah, it's had good episodes.
I think you've been singing its praises for the most part. I mean, and if you watch Eric since you were late, you'll have to watch the beginning where I was all super positive.
He was Jedi positive.
Yeah. So,
just
kidding, man. Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, the show's had good episodes. It's had bad episodes. It's had stuff that works and stuff that hasn't. I think overall, it has felt very Star Wars. I think it is it is a good entry. Look, if something isn't working, that's what we're going to talk about, because we just want things to be better, or understand why they don't work, or understand why they do work. That's really what we're diving in here. We're not only just talking about a show, we want to talk about why things are working or not working, kind of dive in a little bit more into those questions, expand our own realm of knowledge and our appreciation for this stuff. So for sure, we will be back next week, Thursday, 6 o'clock Pacific, with Mark from Enchantment Eternity to wrap up this season. No, there's going to be more, and we're really excited to see how that finds out. So thanks, everybody, for joining us live in the chat. Thanks, everyone, for joining us in the archives, and we will catch you all next week. Take it easy, and I've got to hit buttons. Bye-bye.